Women should be involved in decision-making as well as in the reflections of programs, development if we desire to reach the status of a developed country.
In Chad, the population is composed of 51.6% women and 20.5% of them are housewives. At the local level, the principle of equality of citizens is enshrined in the Constitution of Chad on the 31st March 1996. But because of cultural constraints, women are relayed as second to men. The gross enrollment rate for girls, according to 2010 data, is 36.5%, which places Chad 163rd country by UNESCO. In decision-making position, the percentage of women is the lowest in the Central African region. The majority of them lives in rural areas and organize in associations to develop agricultural activities and income-generating activities like the women of Kunari village, a village located 35 kilometers from the capital. The association even has a community forest. Or like the Association of Miterine Village organized in fish processing. The quality of their fish processing was recognized beyond Chad's borders by winning a FAO awards. Few are those who kept their head above the water by overcoming cultural and traditional barriers to integrate the cycle of influential leaders in terms of responsibility. Thérèse Mekombe is one of those rare Chadian women who no longer have inferiority complex in front of the men. She is currently leading a civil society association.
Je me suis engagée au niveau de la société civile.
At the event of democracy, I committed to the civil society as democracy allowed associations, political parties, trade unions to organize. I chose to campaign in women's associations, which is not an easy task, as being a mother, a wife, a government worker, and a militant for non-governmental organizations.
Although many women are emerging, there are still several obstacles that prevent them from asserting themselves. Among these obstacles, there is the stereotype that a woman has no right to speak among men. Woman is made for the kitchen.
L'environnement n'est pas tellement propice.
The environment is not as conducive to promote the emergence of women. Women who are emancipated have made a lot of progress, but face constant sex discrimination, leading to fewer higher responsibilities. It is commonly believed that women do not possess the ability to occupy higher positions. It is a common belief and becomes a tradition to the point that women are considered as always dependent to their husbands due to the fact that they are submissive to them. As husbands are heads of the household, they abuse of this responsibility to transform their wives as total dependent and controlled persons. There are also women who do not even try to get out of this infernal cycle by underestimating themselves and ability to rise.
Donc, il y en a beaucoup qui se sous-estiment encore.
The level of involvement of Chadian women in the decision-making process is low. In the high office of the Republic, their number is minimal.
Il y a une implication des femmes au niveau des instances de prise de décision, mais il n'y en a pas assez.
There is a good number of women involved in decision-making bodies. There are about 50.7% of Chadian women, but not many of them are involved in higher in decision-making positions. I think there is still work to be done for women to be involved in some decision-making positions. At the National Assembly, there are 28 women representatives. That is a plus, but not enough. We would like to have more. The number of women within the government tends to rise, but very slowly. You will see sometimes 20% of women, some other time 18% or 10%, depending on each shuffle in the government, as some positions are not given to women. This makes the number of women within governmental institutions oscillates back and forth. We have a woman as a governor, which is a plus, but not enough for us. In different institutions of the government, we do have women there, but wish to have more in the decision-making positions.
Mais nous souhaiterons avoir assez de femmes dans les institutions et au niveau des instances de prise de décision.
At the National Assembly, there are only 28 women out of 183 deputies, a reality that does not favor the female sex.
Notre minorité joue énormément sur les prises de décision.
Our minority plays heavily on the decision-making at the National Assembly. For example, in the offices where there are more than 20 people, there are only 3 women. How will they influence decision-taking when there are only 3 women? We have 6 or 7 commissions, and each commission is composed roughly about 10 people. But there, we find 1 or 2 women sometimes, or even none. So what impact? You see, in politics, the voice of the majority prime. So, if we are not many, despite your knowledge, our voice will not be heard.
Malgré votre connaissance, c'est le nombre qui compte.
If the Chadian women are not really involved in the process of decision-making, to whom the responsibility?
Il faut que elles-mêmes fassent des efforts.
Women must make efforts to minimize the weight of traditions and habits. In order to minimize the weight of prejudice and overcome it, women must work more. We must do more than men to show that we are capable. We must do more for men to say that it is better to entrust women with a task because women can do a better job. But do not let it all up even though we had the opportunity for men to do it for us. Even when we are empowered to write a simple report, we tend to ask men to do it. But when we are sent on a mission, we spend all our time shopping, and once back we are not able to write our mission report, then we must impose our work. It's hard, but we must do it.
Ça s'arrache. On ne doit pas nous donner.
Despite the signing of several agreements relating to the principle of gender equality, Chad is still trailing unlike other countries. The most obvious example is Rwanda, where over 50% of women hold positions of responsibility. The head of state, Idriss Déby, has decided to grant a quota of 30% to the Chadian women in decision-making bodies, but since then, this decision has been suffering from implementing measures.